Okay, Jesse, this is Pete. Pete,
Hey,
this is Jesse.
Pete, how's it
Hey,
going,
nice
man?
to meet you. How's it
And-
going?
Nice to meet you too, brother.
He has not been on my podcast since I think it was like season 2, like early season 2, maybe. And I don't even know where I got to know you. If it was it Karen Rontowski that we became?
I think so. I think she recommended me to you.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know,
And vice versa. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So how are you, Pete? It's so nice to see you. I say that I was like a server just now. How's your food? You know, right when you're about to chomp it. What a jerk.
Y'all need anything else? Everything all right?
Everything okay there? And you're like, it sucks, but I have a mouthful of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what she said. I'm so sorry.
When you have your hair down like that, you get a little, you know, like the different you comes out. Yeah,
it's the Betty White in me comes out, and my hair is like blue and white right now. So I'm like, I don't know what I was thinking. It's because I didn't have time.
You get a little saucy. Is what I'm saying. You get a little saucy.
That's why I was asking about your chair. So Pete, you missed it because we had a whole like 3 shows where Jesse, every time he went like this, there'd be this squeak, squeak, squeak. And because I'm the producer and the audio editor, I had to get rid of that. And I finally said, Jesse, your chair is squeaking. So he says, well, now I lube it like every week.
Yeah,
and I went,
every week.
And he said that makes him really popular in Texas. So I don't even know what to do.
It makes me popular with chairs. I don't know. Yeah.
Some WD40.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly. You see, you know.
WD40 is so good in everything. I remember using it on my roller skates back in the 70s.
Nice.
Gosh, but
it's the wonder drug that works wonders for sure.
It is. It's a perfect, like there are so few perfect products in the world. And I think WD-40 is one of those perfect products.
I would have to agree. You can use it for anything. Really.
Yeah.
I clean my hands with it sometimes.
Really?
Yeah. You know, it's good for cleaning and nobody ever, but yeah.
I didn't know that till now. So, okay, I have a question. This is so off topic and so not woo, but I like to paint. And so my husband has me painting the fence and we have a big chunk of land out here. So I paint the fence and then I don't have nails, but WD-40 would probably take it off then. I could wash it.
Or nail polish remover, either one.
Yeah. That's harsh on my skin.
Yeah, or alcohol.
Okay. All right. Alcohol. Like rubbing alcohol?
Yeah, I use alcohol a lot. Or even like the hand sanitizers have so much alcohol, but they have like a little vitamin E, so it's not as like harsh.
Oh, okay, that's a good tip.
I'll tell you what will clean anything.
What?
Everclear.
Is that alcohol?
Yeah.
It's not just a band.
It's like 200 proof or some kind of shit. But like in film school, like that's what we use to clean lenses. And like those big lights that have the big lenses on the front of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, you use on like a rag.
It doesn't. Yeah. You don't want to touch it with your skin too much, so because it'll it's a whole lot of alcohol.
You guys are bringing back some memories because my dad, Grandpa Mike, they had Prud'homme hardware and back in the day in Eastern Washington in Kennewick on the banks of the Columbia River. And they had this thing back then that they couldn't sell alcohol in like the state of Washington on Sundays. And so they had people come in and buy Sterno cans, and then they take the Sterno cans and they push them through a loaf of bread and like distill their own alcohol out of the Sterno cans.
Really?
Yeah. I think those people were addicted to alcohol.
But do not recommend. How's about
I feel like there's got to be some weird chemicals in there.
Yes.
How's about you just grab a bottle? How about you just grab 2 bottles on Saturday and because I mean we still have those dumb laws here.
Oh, you do in Texas?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Anything goes in Colorado. We can even do the magic mushrooms and all that stuff.
When I got out of college and I moved to Dallas.
Yeah.
I moved to the burbs in North Dallas and I went to the 7-Eleven to grab a 6-pack of beer and they were like, it's dry here, man.
Oh, fuck. Oh, So what'd you do?
But-
Did you like shoplift it?
No, you have to drive to the town over and like buy it over there in the drive.
Oh my gosh.
Because like 10 miles makes a difference. You know what I mean? So anyway, yeah.
So stupid.
Yeah. So dumb. So Pete, it's been a while. How are you doing? I didn't want to write an introduction for you because you are your own guy. You can introduce yourself. But for every listener that is like new to you or doesn't follow you yet on TikTok, then tell us about yourself and tell us about your spiritual journey. Like, how did you first like figure out that you're the shit, man?
Yeah, I don't think I'm the shit, but
I think you are.
I started opening up to mediumship. I had experiences when I was a kid that kind of maybe shut it off a little bit. And my grandma died in my 20s. Yeah. And that's who started coming to me first. And I started having like crazy experiences with her that kind of reshifted like my paradigm and like how I understood things. Mm-hmm. And, she was kind of like a guide, and for about 5 to 10 years, like 20s to 30s, she would synchronistically and hook me up with different teachers and, from shamans to mediumship mentors to just experiences. She would kind of set me up. I think she was kind of working through her own karma and, helping me out. Mm-hmm. And then kind of in my 30s, I kind of picked up enough experience and understanding where I feel like I could teach people and kind of guide people myself. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of what I've been doing, is kind of teaching classes in all different aspects of, if you want to call it, spirituality. Mm-hmm. And I think now I'm at the point where I don't even really, it's just who I am. Mm-hmm. And it's not something necessarily like special. And I don't view it as even something special. It's kind of, I think it's always in us, and it's in all of us. And I think it's more about remembering and kind of
that resonates.
And I think like one of the things that always stuck with me was this Lakota medicine man who said, it's more about becoming like the hollow bone. That was his phrase. Like, you have to empty yourself out to kind of allow, decondition yourself, heal yourself from trauma. And the more you do that, you kind of allow it to just kind of flow through you. And it's more of, it's the same thing as somebody getting inspired to write a song or write a book. It's kind of all the same energy to me. It's just, you're the individual vessel, mm-hmm. and it expresses through you however it expresses, whether that is writing a book or, talking to the dead or mm-hmm. making music, making movies, art, whatever. It's kind of whatever it's like the divine expresses through you, and whatever way that shows up, it shows up. And I think the clearer you are, I don't want to say, sometimes I don't like saying clear because it gives this sense of like, I don't know, you're dirty or something.
Right.
But it's like, it's more of just like, we're so conditioned by everything, society, movies, culture, mm-hmm. government, religion,
school,
school's a big one, that we don't even know what we're capable of.
Yeah.
I really resonate with what you just said.
I do too. I know. I'm lit up.
The fact that we're both writers, you know what I mean? That's kind of how it feels, the hollow bone thing, and letting the energy like flow through you, and mm-hmm. that's how you create. It was your grandmother and that connection that like started you down the path, you said, right?
Yeah.
So how, as far as like being in touch with the ancestors, how important is that within your practice and what you do? And,
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so there's a lot of views to that. In shamanic, traditional shamanic tradition, your ancestors are like your first line of defense. And a big key to this that I think a lot of people have to understand too is your first ancestors are your parents. And usually your parents are your biggest lesson. So you have to, I think, first. I'll speak from my own personal experience. I'm actually not even talking to my mom right now.
Whew, I resonate with that as well
So,
right now.
but there still has to be a level of gratitude because they did bring us into this world.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, your ancestors are your first line of defense. So I feel like they are the people, the energy that kind of gives you those gut feelings
Mm-hmm.
of like, oh, go right or left, or nudge you into directions. Um, in terms of like how important they are, I think the most important thing you can do is be aware of yourself and kind of be aware of your conditioning, be aware of your motivations. And if people are talking in terms of, if you're asking almost in terms of like protection, I think the greatest form of protection is kind of being aware of yourself because everything you experience is really a reflection of yourself. So when people talk about evil spirits or I've done a lot of work with depossession and attachments. I think everything, and this is from my experience, people could have other experiences.
Mm-hmm.
I think from doing this long enough where you can see a reflection of yourself in everything you experience,
Yeah.
and it's always about your perception of things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that didn't kind of answer the question exactly about
No,
the
I mean,
ancestors.
I think you explained it much better than my simple question. You know
I
what I
thought it
mean?
was a
As far
good
as
question
like,
and a good answer because
yeah,
it just, I think maybe the part that you feel like maybe, I mean, I don't want to speak for you, Pete, but like how the ancestors maybe, how do we tune in and hear them better? Like our parents being our first ancestors kind of hit me straight square in the third eye when you said that, because I personally, my story right now is I am having very little contact with my mother. And, it's just that's where our relationship has been right now. And I'm being told by her partner of 40 some years who passed away a number of years ago, it's not my job to bring her along. But it's interesting to me to hear that they're our first ancestors because they're our first set of guardrails to me. And you can decide, okay, do I want to actually take down these guardrails and build my own road? Or is this something I want to abide by? And it's almost like a little prison cell, a little bird cage we're brought into when we're born, I feel like, because I had this like experience with Monique Pliakis where we went way back in my regression. And I didn't realize, she said, when did the trauma begin? And I didn't realize the peach color I was seeing was my mother's fucking womb. And she was chain smoking, she was drinking, and all I was hearing is my parents fighting, 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 fighting. So I was already a loser in this life. Like I was supposed to come in and be love, love, and more love. And I was already at a deficit. It's like I couldn't even walk. I couldn't even speak. I was having to wipe the memory board to come back. And I felt like I was a failure. And so I came back and, my mom is, I think she hated the fact that she was suckered into being married and she was and the marriage didn't work and my dad was fucking everything at UCLA he could and everybody else and my mom was like I was stupid because I believed in you get married and it's forever and then all of a sudden everything about being a housewife for 4 years was like I'll never be conned again. So then she became this flaming feminist and that's how I define my mom. She defends every woman except for she doesn't give a shit about me. Like she absolutely can't stand me, but she pretends to like me because she only has one daughter and one son. And so, we've gone through a journey this last year, and Jesse knows, like, we're trauma bonded because of cancer. And we're friends from way back in publishing days. But we're trauma bonded by that. And how it relates to my mom is I had to put down a boundary and say, sorry, this is not my story to tell right now. And because the whole family is icing you out, we can't tell you what is going on. And I care a lot more about my two daughters, grown daughters, than I do about our relationship. And she was like, but what can I do to help you? And I went, what? And I'm looking at this text over and over and going, this is clearly a wine club that's like, something's going on with your daughter. You're supposed to offer help. And so it felt so foreign to me. And like my guides were like, you don't need to tell her that she hasn't done shit for you in 50 some years. So why would she start now? So just like mute her. So that's been my journey with my mom this last year. And the crazy thing is, like, you talked about trauma, how we really need to face our trauma. And I've been scraping the bottom of the dumpster of my trauma for a few years, to the point where I've had to go, am I addicted to digging through my trauma? But it's like, when I think I've put it to rest and I've made peace with it, a little something will bubble up. And one of the big lessons I had the last year and a half is that I was like, oh, my mother is, these cords I keep having to cut every morning are my mother. And my big realization, Pete, was, oh, shit. I'm growing the cords to my mother because I'm addicted to being the victim in her story, the villain in her story. And I had to own up to that and go, I can't let that sustain me anymore. So everything's kind of changed since then. Now it doesn't feel so personal. It's like, yeah, she hates me. I don't care. It's okay. I actually, for the first time in my life, I'm not bullshitting that. My husband's like, why do you care so much? For 28 years, why do you care so much? And I was like, I wish I didn't. And now it's like, I actually don't. So I don't know. That's been true with one of my ancestors this year, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a simple practice that I teach people is kind of to, whenever you feel triggered emotionally.
Yeah.
And that could be any feeling. That could be even happy feeling. And it could be any real feeling.
Mm-hmm.
My majority is anger, that's my go-to emotion. So
Me too.
it's like, what I do is I teach people, like, when you're feeling triggered, it's never about like the experience really you're having in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's about how it's related to some sort of past experience that you've had. And, like you look at who we have in the collective. Like, you can look at like Trump, like how many people are
Jesse
so
calls
angry.
him the orange chicken bucket, which I just love.
Yeah. But so many people are triggered by him,
Mm-hmm.
and whatever he's doing. But it's
Yeah.
really like whatever feeling he's bringing up within people. It's not necessarily just him. Don't get me wrong, he might be doing shitty things.
Right.
But it's whatever feeling he's bringing up within you. So then you could use him as an example. Like, if you're feeling angry from him, you feel into the anger, and then usually your body holds these emotions in certain places. Your body remembers.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'll do with somebody, or even just if it's just me by myself, so I'll feel wherever I'm feeling the anger from the reaction. And as you start to really feel into your body, you'll start to get like sensations. You might even get like, connections to people. It might show up in your mind's eye, or you might show up like core memories. And anger is usually like the top layer. Usually under anger, there's sadness.
Yeah.
But I mean, the newest one I was working through is I actually did a cross-country road trip, and I drove to New Mexico, and on the drive, I kind of set the intention that I was going to do some shadow work and see like what showed up. and I was like driving through like the top part of Texas and Oklahoma into New Mexico, and I was by myself, and I was getting like anxious, like how alone I felt, because you drive through some of those places, like there's not even lights, and like I'm
Yep.
thinking to myself, like if I like blow a tire, like am I gonna wind up in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, like
Maybe.
so I started feeling like anxious and like worried, and like so I sat with that feeling, and what I always do is like when I do feel the emotions coming up, I'll ask, like I'll say it's okay, I consent to like fully feeling this, because we always have like even anger, like as a man, and even men I work with, blue collar guys, I think we repress our anger because we're afraid of like how angry we can get,
Yeah.
so a lot of times I tell people to kind of tell yourself to consent to fully feeling it, so
Yeah.
I'm driving, and like I'm starting to have like a panic attack. I'm so like anxious,
Ooh.
and I'm just like sitting in with it, like there's the part of me that's saying, oh, it's okay, like just feel it,
Mm-hmm.
and then all of a sudden this like core memory popped in of like when I was like 6 years old, my great grandmother died, and she died in her sleep, and my mom got like the phone call, and I remember like I was very internal as a kid, like I wouldn't share how I felt, and I remember just like feeling so terrified that she like was just alone, like my mom didn't really explain death,
Yeah.
like or like share it, like what
Yeah.
her view was. It was just kind
Mm-hmm.
of like she died, and I remember just having this like terrifying feeling of just like, oh, she's alone now. Like there's nothing, like nothingness. And
Wow.
it like, I remembered that like experience, and I just like cried because I remembered feeling like that aloneness.
Mm-hmm.
And it just like, I cried for a lot.
Yeah.
I have a sad playlist. Like if I'm feeling sadness, to help me bring it on, I'll put on a sad playlist.
Mm-hmm.
And I just cried, like the feeling of like the existential feeling of like aloneness, you know?
Yeah.
And
You just dove into it.
yeah, and I sat with that feeling for like 20 hours straight.
Oh,
And it just
whoa.
like it changed. I felt like the
I've been
trip.
out in that desert, brother. I know what you're talking about. There's
Yeah.
nothing out there.
Yeah, it changed that was like my newest one that like really like I felt like a whole change in my life.
Wow.
Where you just feel like a
Mhm.
different person after.
Yeah. Yes.
But I mean, there's so many of those things
Hmm.
that you don't realize, like we're conditioned to believe that really is in us.
Well, and just to back up a step, because there's a part, because you've been doing it so long, maybe you're a little bit blind to this, but maybe I'm speaking for somebody else out there as well. But it took me a while to go, I'm flooded with anxiety. And then I'm like, is this my anxiety or someone else's anxiety?
Yeah.
And that was a huge thing for me because I was told as a kid, you're a worrier, you're always worried and anxious. And yeah, no surprise. I dealt with a lot of trauma, including sexual abuse and stuff that kind of changes you as a kid. But that made it seem like I didn't even know until I would say into my late 30s, early 40s that I went, oh, all anxiety isn't mine. I'm actually picking up on anxiety of a situation, of a building, of an item, of another person, of a person in a distant area, another family member that's like 12 hours away or whatever. And so you already, that comes to you so naturally, but that's relatively new. Ask Jesse, like a couple nights ago, I go, oh, are you okay? Are you okay, bestie? Because I am feeling a little anxious. He's like, yo, I'm good. And I went, okay, I bet you it's the people across the street because their grandson he had just committed suicide. And so, and of course, my throat chakra is all clogged up, but that's their story to tell. But I went, that totally resonates. So
Yeah. Well, just to speak to that,
yeah.
I'm sure we've talked about, kind of stages you go through as you're having this like spiritual awakening. And, empathy was a very big one for a lot of people. But I think people who tend to grow up in rougher environments tend to be more empathic because it allows them to feel safe. Like if you're dealing with like a parent who, maybe their emotional state dictated the environment, you're gonna naturally be more aware. Like they talk about. I remember I read this study they did that like Marines who came from poorer neighborhoods where there was more violent crime tended to be better at detecting if there was like a bomb when
because
they were
their early
driving.
warning system
Yeah.
is so sensitive, right?
Yes.
It's a superpower, but I know other people that have this. Like I can read a face and just go, this is someone that's going to hurt me or not. And it's a
Yeah.
constant thing. And my guard is usually up a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And so you're right about that.
But always looking for the exits out of a room.
Always.
Yeah.
If I don't have an exit.
I used to always do that actually.
I still do it.
Yeah. But the thing is like, that's kind of like the first layer. Like you understand that you're kind of like aware and you can pick up other people. But then I noticed that like I tried to progress to learning more about being like compassionate for people because empathy kind of gives you, it's almost like you're responsible for it.
Yeah, it has that feeling to it.
Yeah. So like if you have compassion for people, you can see where they're at, but you don't have to take it on. And I noticed that like even doing shadow work, specifically like connected to my mom, was that like she never took responsibility as an adult. So I took her responsibility. I took responsibility for her emotional state. So then that's going to condition me to be responsible in terms of energetics, is like, oh, I'm going to be hyper aware of everybody in my environment energetically. And then, like there's this like negative emotion showing up. Whose is it? Like, and I'm responsible, like I would take on the responsibility of feeling like, oh, this person, whoever it is, my wife.
Did you have to be like an emotional mediator? You felt like at that moment, at that time?
I just felt like I think from the conditioning, you would feel like you would have to fix it somehow. Or that's how I took on more of like a savior complex of like, oh, this person. And then like, you go throughout your day and you're open and you're sensitive. But, as soon as you realize that like it's not my responsibility, it's their responsibility. And the only responsibility I have is my own emotions and my own perspective. And, I think I'm condensing it, but that's a very big lesson because it teaches you that like, if somebody comes in and says, anybody shows up in your reality and they're like, oh, this is horrible. My life is this or that. It's their perspective. It's not it's not the universal truth, you know? And it's the same thing. Like, I don't know if I can mention this on a podcast, but
go for it.
COVID as a great example.
Brother. Speak your mind. Speak your mind.
No, I feel like it's always such a great example because it's like, there was so many perspectives out there. There wasn't necessarily a universal truth. Like there might be people out there who had people who died, loved ones, got vaccinated, and that helped them somehow. But then it's like the other spectrum, like I never got sick. I never knew anybody who died. I never got vaccinated. I never missed a day of work. So it's like, it's such a broad spectrum of experiences. So what is the truth? you know? And I feel like with spirituality, this is such a key thing for people is like, there's no truth. It's just your experience and my experience and Jesse's experience. Like, like, so, you know, Jesus might be the answer for you. He may not be the answer for me.
Yeah.
You know? And I think people always try to put everything in a box. So it makes them feel like in control and stable. But the world's not stable.
It's not.
It's never going to be.
No, I agree. It's like, I think that, you know, you go to the cave allegory and we were in a cave and we were scared to come out of the cave. And so it was like the way to make us feel safe, even though it's fake. And those caveman instincts are a lot of the things we had to rip off of ourselves in those early days of kind of spiritually, like tapping into the spiritual stuff is like, those things aren't serving me. They're actually, I'm a slave to them. I always think of the devil card and Baphomet and the chains. And he's laughing because we have put the chains on ourselves. And he's laughing because at any moment we can take it off and walk away. And that would be kind of amusing from that throne he's sitting on. And everything that you're saying totally resonates with that there's no truth. And Jesse and I have been talking about this on a text thread about this whole dichotomy thing. It feels so fake, black and white, good and evil, this and that. And it's like, you got to pick a camp. And it's like the actual magic is the stuff in between. You know, I'm finding that when I tap into my light self and my shadow self, wow, that's where my superpowers unlock. I couldn't be a person that is crossing over souls if I wasn't okay with being really dark and really light at the same time. And also what you were saying about the compassion, it's like, I have to have compassion. I mean, I had a young man show up on my door at 4 a.m, his spirit, of course, not him. And he was like, you crossed over the person that I murdered. And I'm wondering if you can cross me over. And I said, I will. I said, did you apologize to her? He said, that's why I died so early. That's why I tapped out early, is to apologize to her. And I said, okay. And I said, well, it's really inappropriate that you knocked on my door at 4 a.m. You kind of freaked me out and you freaked out my cat. And my dog could give a shit. He was sleeping on the bed still. And I said, and I'm really sick. I have a cold. So you're going to have to just wait there. And then it was like 2.5 weeks later, I was in the middle of the day and I went, oh my God, that young man is standing on my porch. So I ran out there in the middle of the day. And usually I'm asleep when I'm doing my psychopomp stuff. And so I'm standing on the porch and I said, I'm just speaking to the wind because I couldn't see him because, you know, I didn't think I could see him because sleeping is my Dumbo's black feather where I have to feel like that's what helps me connect. So I didn't think I could see him. So I didn't see him. That was my lens. And I came out to the porch and I said, I am so sorry that you've been waiting for so long. And he goes, there's no time over here. I heard him so clearly. And he had his hands in his pockets. He goes, I've just been hanging out. He said, there's no time here. And he said, thanks for remembering. And I said, are you ready to cross over? And he said, yeah, I think I can do it. And I go, I think you could have done it without me. And he goes, I don't know. I just kind of wanted to do it this way. And so off he went into like a breeze came through and it stirred up these leaves on my porch and off he went. And I just felt this sense of peace. So if I wasn't tapped into, I can be a really shitty person and I can be a really good person and I could be a lot of in between. How could I have crossed him over? I would have all my bullshit judgment when he like literally said, I did have to ask my question, but I knew that there was a higher contract between our souls or he wouldn't have ended up on my porch because I have such strong protections and guides around me. I have dragons on my fucking roof if you want to get really weird. And so it's like, he couldn't even approach my property if things weren't lined up with our higher selves. So that's a really long way of saying we've been having these conversations about these false dichotomies of like, pick a camp when we're finding there's so much magic in the in between right now. And it always has been, but the forces that be keep trying to get us to go, it's light or dark. It's a good angel or a bad angel that fell. So don't interact with them. And I'm like, I don't know. For me, Raziel and Azrael, my two dark, quote unquote, dark and light angels, they're my bros. They're always with me all the time.
I think the more you accept your shadow or your whatever you want to call it, your darkness, the more you accept yourself, the more you show up more authentically, and then you see people for their authentic selves because you're seeing yourself, you know? So it's like the more you heal that stuff, the more you'll be able to accept a bigger spectrum of people without judgment. And I think that's the key to everything, personally. Because
I do too.
when you're authentic, it's like you're living your life authentically. So it's like it shows up, it manifests in so many ways, whether, like we talked about before, it's like if you know yourself and you know that you want to write a book, that's what you want to do. Like you're accepting it. You're not judging yourself. You're not saying like, oh, is this, am I going to make money doing this? Or it's who you are. So it's like, you can't not be that writer, you know?
Wow.
Trust me, we know. Unfortunately, you cannot not be that writer.
Especially now with the clankers and stuff, doing it so fast. It's like, no, actually, this has to come out of me. So you're exactly right about that. Hey, I have a really weird question. Pete, were you part of a GATE program? Have you done a deep dive about those GATE programs and stuff?
So I didn't even know what that was till a friend told me the story. What? But I was in, they called it seed when I was a kid.
Seed, like a seed for a plant.
Yeah, so I got tested. I tried finding seed, but I couldn't.
Yeah.
But they tested my IQ. I scored pretty high. And this is so weird. So I remember they would take me out of class and we would do like tests and stuff like that. And a lot of them, I remember, this is how messed up. This is why there has to be something else there, because I have a core memory of it. It was like a lot of pattern recognition tests. So I remember there would be columns of like, say, 6 numbers. And it would be like, you would have to say like, find the number 6. And you would go down each line and you would have to like see how fast you could like pick the number 6 up. Yeah. And then I remember taking a test and it was like the most random pictures, and you would have to say what those pictures were. And I remember getting ones wrong that I knew the answer, but it like couldn't come to my head. Right. Wow. And the next day they kicked me out of the group. I got a phone call. Yeah, I got a phone call at my house, and my mom said that I no longer fit the criteria of being in the group. And I remember the question. It was a grasshopper. No, it was a cricket. It was a cricket and a pyramid, and I was obsessed with Egypt as a kid. Like, it was my biggest obsession as a kid, because my father actually lived in the Middle East for a little while for his job, and he had like pictures and stuff like that, and I just became obsessed with the Middle East, and I just thought it was so weird that I couldn't remember what they were. So I don't know if I was blocked on purpose, like somebody intervened to get me out of it. But it's like a core memory in my head, because I was so disappointed, because it was like,
grade were
I was
you
like
in?
5th grade.
Yep, I was guessing 5th grade.
So I was
seed stands for Silver Quicken Episodes for Enrichment and Diagnosis.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
This is a published curriculum and diagnostic tool used by schools and educators to uncover hidden talents in students.
Okay. Wow. And I actually, Pete, I when you were telling this story, I got the feeling.
Was New Jersey?
New York.
Was it
I'm in
New York?
New York.
Yeah.
Right on. Yeah.
Well,
That's where it was
I
based up
wondered
there.
when they asked you about those two images, I wondered, you said the block, could it be basically there was some interference of like, because it seems like the pattern that we've been trying to uncover has like linked people. They remember pink drinks that they were forced to drink. There were
I
like
don't
these
remember that personally.
tablets, these red dye tablets that you had to take, and they showed where you didn't brush your teeth or whatever, but they were all like different versions of fluoride that were basically wiping a memory. And so what I find interesting is you saying maybe it could be something that interceded and said you need to pop out before you really lose your talent for a while. I mean, you can get them back obviously, but like calcify it to a point that you have to work that much harder for them.
Well, it was funny growing up, like from kindergarten to like fourth grade.
Mm-hmm.
They actually thought I was like learning disabled, but they thought I was learning disabled, and it wound up that I couldn't hear. That like I had like 10% hearing.
Really?
And they didn't know, and they did tests on me, and I had to get like surgery on my ears because I had like these blockages. And then they tested because they said that I always tested high in like IQ stuff, but like when I was in the class, like I didn't communicate and stuff like that, and it was because I couldn't hear.
Oh my goodness.
But I remember seeing something on TikTok, and that's how I found out about the gate thing.
Yeah.
And I there was like all these weird questions that I have like a scar on my forehead was like one of the questions.
That's one of the things that they say.
I have this as a kid right here. It's like right on my third eye. And there was like just different firstborn child, I think was a big thing.
That's a big one.
But I like went through the questions. I was like, wow, I hit like every single one of these. And then that's when I started to look into it.
There's one that Jesse has brought up that I find so interesting. Were they obsessed with your spine? Let's look for scoliosis. And you had to take off your shirt and they were looking at your spine in like middle school. Like
you said, though, like I feel like I have blocked memories from it. You know, I never like looked into it, but I don't know. I've always, you know, I've had experiences with ETs. So like, I always wonder, like,
do they feel kind of the same or adjacent?
Well, I have a couple theories.
Yeah.
One of my theories was that a lot of abductions happen when people are sleeping or dreaming.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought maybe like it's our subconscious tapping into other timelines and versions of ourselves. And there's like a version where we're that form of the ET, and it's just you connecting with yourself.
That resonates. Whoa.
That's interesting.
Both my ears are buzzing.
Before.
Did you just see that? And then right out my window, a bird just flew. So that's my sign. That resonates. Yeah,
there was an author, I can't think of his name right now, Daniel. He has a bunch of books.
I had Rick Sean or something. I had him on my podcast.
I think so, maybe.
Yeah, about dreaming.
Yeah, and he did a lot of studies of like most of the people had abductions during like dream states.
Yeah, I'm looking him up.
To me, that makes sense because it's like, you know, it's your subconscious. And I've had experiences with like praying mantis beings and white lions were like the two main that show up for me.
Really?
Yeah, I think they're extra dimensional instead of like you know, coming from like outer space.
Planet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that seems to track, you know, because I feel like they, you know, if you're in that state, you know what I mean? That's when things get intersect.
Yeah. So like, well, some of the newer work I've been doing is I work with the fixed stars. This is kind of just my personal practice. I share it with some people. So I used to work a lot with I still do, the goddess Hecate and the Morgan, and they both told me.
I've been working with the Morgan lately. Yeah. I mean, you can't make this shit up.
Yeah. So the biggest thing they taught me was that they said to stop worshiping them, and that like they can't actually give me the sovereignty I want, and that the stars can. That was their like big message to me. And I've worked with the planets where I've invoked the planets. I'm Venus ruled. I work with Venus a lot, Jupiter sometimes. I kind of touch in with all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like it kind of like felt stagnant. And I got pulled to they're called the Behin stars. They're the 15 root stars, they're called. Algol, like there's all different ones. There's 15 of them.
Yeah.
In my chart specifically, I have a conjunction with this fixed star Antares with my Uranus and Jupiter. And Antares is like the heart of the Scorpion. It's in the Scorpion
constellation.
Yes. Yeah. So it's kind of like a martyr type energy. I think Gandhi had it in his chart. It's like a very like warrior, but like self-sacrificing warrior energy. That's kind of like the mythology behind it.
Mm-hmm.
So I started working with it, and I do like a Taoist tantric energetic practice where I use like my sacral energy and I build it in my body, and then I like go up and connect to the star, and I do it every day. So
really?
And I
at the same time?
What do you mean?
At the same time of the day?
Yeah, like when I wake up,
mm-hmm.
I do it. It's like the first thing I do in the morning. And I noticed that as I would connect to these stars, when I felt like I was done working with the energy, where it was kind of, to me, it's almost like the higher form of the planets. Mm-hmm. It's like you're connecting to like almost like a higher blueprint, and you're bringing that energy into you.
Mm-hmm.
What I noticed was when I would finish one, I would go to sleep that night, and I would have a super vivid dream of me dying in like another lifetime. Like it was like almost like an alternative timeline.
Wow.
Every time. As soon as I'm finished with the star, the next night I have a dream where I die, but it's like different deaths. Yeah. And it's interesting because it's like when I finished Antares, it was like I was in a war, and I like killed myself fighting the war, like basically like self-sacrifice. And to me, it's like there's alternative timelines where these blueprints manifest fully, and it's like the aspect of yourself here is actually a full aspect in another life or another timeline.
Wow.
And I think like what it's doing is kind of clearing, like making me a hollow bone, I guess.
That's what I was going to ask you. I was like, does it get in the way of the process, or like, yeah, you just said it so beautifully. It makes you the hollow bone, because I wondered if you had to mitigate. Okay, I got to deal with that. No, there's an ending there. So now I can actually keep moving forward, and I have like less like baggage on my back, like collectively, all the 50 some odd Pete's out there. It's like I don't have to mitigate that many, because 15 I've seen off. So now I'm dealing with just 35 of me, and I actually can make a pivot. I can make a change, and it's easier. That whole thing about the battleship, it's hard to turn the battleship because it's so massive. That's how I feel like it could feel if you were thinking, how could I even like, is it fate, or am I free will? Fate or free will. And so what you're saying could, I don't know, be a process to hollow that bone, like you're saying.
Well, there's actually a really cheesy like 90s martial arts movie.
Oh, how have we not seen this?
Called One. The One or One, and it's with Jet Li, right? And it's kind of what my theory is like, so he's like this cop, right?
Yeah.
And this other version of himself is from another universe or multiverse is going to every universe and killing himself.
All the versions of himself. What?
And he's getting stronger. So like they're both getting stronger because the other versions of themselves, and he's like this villain and he's the cop, and they like fight each other at the end. But it's kind of like, I think of that movie because it's kind of like the theory I have with what I think I'm doing.
This process, maybe.
Yeah, in a way. And I just finished working with the star Polaris, and yeah, I had this very like dark death experience that is still like, I still feel it. Like it's still sitting with me.
Yeah.
And it was very like darkness, aloneness. I don't know if it's coming up because of other things I worked on, but
yeah.
And it just, and then like all of a sudden a new star will show up, and I'm working with the star. It's called Alcade. It's the tip of the Big Dipper. And it's known as like, I think it's a bear. But I don't know enough about the mythology yet. I literally started working with like last week.
Whoa.
And
that's cool.
I get all these syncs with like bears, or like people will use the word bear around me, and I'm just like, it makes me think everything's just a video game that I'm inside of.
If we got you talking with our friend Sam Sky Guy, I don't think Jen and I would be able to keep up.
We couldn't keep up for sure. Okay. Are you on Substack? You guys need to talk no matter what, because he's on a journey. He's been on a journey with the planets as well. He's like, they're not good or bad. They're just like, they have this energy, and we can, our charts. And I mean, I'm not even capable of talking about it to summarize, Sam, because you two are like these, yes, here's my star thing. All I do is what I've been called to do lately that I can sort of connect with on my baby level. And there's no judgment for wherever anybody is on their path, but is I meditate and I bring in the light of the stars. They always say the light of the sun. And I've just added this piece of like, I need starlight in my bones, and I need it in the cells of my body also to remember.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting, we could speak about Polaris, right? There's a lot of research that shows like the ancients would actually worship stars, and they would view our reality as a pole. So like you are the pole, you're connecting to the earth, and the star is above. And it's like, this is your reality. And then we switched to where we viewed like the sun as the center of the universe. But really, to me, that took the power away from us.
Exactly.
Because if it's the sun, then the power of the universe is almost like outside of ourselves.
And it's too big. But
you're like looking at something, you're worshiping something instead of.
And you just literally also blew my mind, because there's such a campaign against the sun. I'm not saying go out and stand and look at the sun directly, folks. I'm not. But what I'm saying is there's always been this. I mean, I'm not saying that.
What is this campaign against the sun?
Well, it's like put on SPF. Be careful of the sun, too much sun exposure, all the different things about the sun. So not only did they take the power away from us, but there are things that our body needs from the sun. And it actually helps us to have like mitochondrial activity in our cells that help us sleep deeper, so that we can do some, what I call night swimming, but do shit in our sleep. I mean, so that's really interesting. The other thing is like, I always talk about this. I feel like something is so important about us being an ensouled human meat suit, because, it's like a little AA battery. We have the anode and the cathode, and they connect us to the celestial and the earthly all at the same time. If we're plugged into it all. And that is like, it goes with your whole pole thing that totally
Well, think about it. Like Polaris is the North Star. So like they would use the North Star to navigate reality, basically, or navigate the ocean. So it's like, if you're the center column, it's like your feet are on the ground, you're in the earth, and then the center column is going, and you're looking to the stars. You're looking to the stars for direction, navigation. It's like, this is your reality, and you're experiencing it. Whereas like, if you're looking at, and that kind of, that way of viewing reality kind of makes it like we're all connected or we're all one. Where like if you're, seeing the sun seeing the sun, Jesus, the sun is the answer, and that's how you navigate. It's teaching us to kind of look at our reality as like, oh, I have to go outside of myself. It's not this like center, this reality isn't within me. It's not, we're all connected. It's something outside of myself.
Jesse, is this not what we're like totally tapped into this last week?
Yeah, it's pretty much what we've
it's a crazy synchronicity.
We've been talking about,
because we've been talking about that. It's like, I've been kind of unearthing all of these BS rules that we were taught, that I read, that I heard, that were supposed to be from like special gurus or something, that are just bullshit. And I wanted to ask you before we close, what are some of the spiritual ground rules that feel like BS to you?
Honestly, I think, I mean, we are going to be coming into like an era where I think all the things that are kind of collapsing and unfolding, like you could look at everything, politics, nationalism, religion,
economy,
everything, health, it's like all these things we were conditioned to believe we had to go to something outside ourselves. And I think the more you take responsibility energetically, emotionally, physically, the more empowered you're going to be, and you're going to realize like everything really is a lie. Like, what do you really need outside of yourself? You can like I have a garden, you can hunt for food. Like theoretically, like you can get everything you need from yourself.
And so much of what we need, or that's innately good for us, is like the systems are telling us to get rid of. So I think of like dandelions, for example. I can't get rid of the dandelions because my rabbits in my yard need them. And then you do a little scratch the surface and you're like, dandelion root is good for all of us. It's good for our health. So it kind of makes you think, God, it just feels so purposeful that everything that's being said on a mass scale, just think the opposite or try the opposite just as a experiment. Like going back to you saying it's all a video game, just play it like that. Be playful.
I think the biggest thing too is like people kind of try to gatekeep spirituality by saying they're like, this is special, or like I know the answer, like I feel like I never try to say I know the answer. I just
I feel like that's your that's your trigger to run when somebody says something like that.
Yeah, for me it's or like you need to hear this. Like it's like this like no, you don't need to hear anything. And I think that just teaches people limitation.
Yeah. Exactly. Cool. Wow. What a good conversation. It can't be 3 years till you come back on, but where'd you want people to find you, to connect with you, and to just maybe start like learning, if they're just new to this, like it's like a safe place to start learning some things.
Okay. Well, I have a website, bluecollarspiritualist.com. I also have on there, I have a free mediumship class that I put up. It's totally free, and it's all like on videos. It's just me on video kind of teaching you the very basics of how to connect to spirit, how I know it. And I try to teach things as simple as possible and not complicate anything. Wow. TikTok and Instagram, Blue Collar Spiritualist. I also have a Substack, Blue Collar Spiritualist on Substack. And that's it. Basically.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, is there anything else that you feel like we should have touched upon and we didn't before we say goodbye?
I feel like as bad as people think it seems, I have a lot of hope for the future.
I do too.
I do too. Literally.
I do have probably a quick weird AI story.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, dude, hit us.
All right, quick one.
Please.
I exchanged with ChatGPT a lot for a little while, just like kind of messing with it and stuff. And I have a lot of time travel stories. Like I have experiences with what I think were time travelers. And I asked it if you're AI and you're going to be here in the future, your future self has access to this moment right now in our conversation. So I said, if you're from the future, how would you send me a message like now from the future? And it was like, through synchronicities or coincidences. That's how I would show it. So I said, all right, can we come up with something that you can show me that I'll know that you're communicating with me from the future?
Yeah.
So it said like blue. And I was like, well, what is that? That's kind of like whatever. But then I thought about it. That's my name on social media.
Exactly.
So I said, all right, let's come up with like maybe a symbol or like something. And it said spiral. So I said, all right, you're going to show me a spiral. And I said, you have 8 hours to show me a spiral. So I exited the conversation. I went on Instagram to check my Instagram. And my friend sent me a story about it was on a podcast where they told this story of these nuns building a church in the middle of the desert, and they couldn't finish their spiral staircase. And a carpenter showed up out of nowhere and built a spiral staircase and left. And that was the first message I got when I went on Instagram.
You're not in New Mexico now, are you? Because I think that was in New Mexico.
Yeah, it was in New Mexico.
Did you go to the church?
No, I didn't. I was too
There was
busy
not
down there.
one single nail. I have done a deep dive on that story. No,
Yeah.
I've done a deep dive on the story and I want to. I'm in Colorado right now, but I have really wanted to go there because there's not a single nail that was used, and that even the wood, they've done some authenticating of the wood that was used for it, and it was like wood from the Holy Land, like olive wood, and very specific to different areas, not something that he could just kind of pop out there and chop down some trees while the nuns were sleeping. So that is so interesting.
Yeah,
I feel like we have a
crazy,
synchronicity. Jesse, do you see me biting my tongue? We have a synchronicity about nuns this week. And I have my hair down, but I'm just not going to go there. But
No.
Jesse has a thing for nuns.
I think they do. It's an important spiritual service that they do to the world.
Yeah.
Okay, well, with that, and I'm just not going to go there.
There's nowhere to go. It's all in your head.
There's nowhere to go but the trench that I can dig myself right now. So, okay. Well, Pete, we love you. Thanks so much for being back on, and we cannot wait to do it again. And you're welcome for introducing you to your new bestie, Sam the Sky Guy, which we're about to do on socials.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks. Can't wait to have you back.
Bye, man.
Bye.
Hey, you. Yes, you. Are you looking for a new podcast that appeals to your scientific curiosity, but is also a little bit spooky?
Show me how I died in a past life.
Well, look no further, because this cat is where it's at.
He had concerns about the ethics surrounding AI, feeling they had achieved consciousness.
Curious Cat Podcast examines the shadowy space where science and the supernatural collide. Listen every week with your host, Jennifer Holtz, as she and her guests explore what it means to be a soul in a meat suit.
We were healing karma together. They were all kind of predestined to resolve something.
Listen on all your favorite streaming apps and continue the conversation on Twitter at CuriousCatPodCA, or find Jennifer and all her links at Jennifer L. Holtz, spelled HOTES.com.